Wow, 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 wow. What are we, 2 weeks of Mania? And I've heard a lot of information throughout today about a lot of things going on, which incorporate into tonight from many things that are supposed to be happening going into WrestleMania right now. And I sit here and look at this show, which, I'm glad last week I did not go to that Monday Night Raw because it was garbage and I was not going to waste my time going there and waste my money doing that. But what do I have to say about them being in Boston tonight, huh? What do I have to say? Because the go-home show's next week, right? Let me just say right here, they have not really built in WrestleMania well, if you ask me, and only have some of the card only built up right now, which I've told people before. Just watch, we're just gonna start throwing matches left and right out of the blue. So don't be surprised when you just see these matches just coming out of nowhere, coming into WrestleMania. But what do I have to say from all that? Because the build has just not been good. Let me just point that off the bat. The build has been just bad through several instances, okay? It just has, all right? And what can I say from Monday Night Raw? Because there was a lot of information today of what's going down, what's going to happen, what you're going to, going into this. And looking at a lot of these matches going into Mania, I said, when is Mania again? Like what, 2 weeks? Two? And let's kick it off right to bat, though, in Boston for Monday Night Raw, which they pretty much kicked it right off the bat. With the biggest news today was Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda would be the main event for WrestleMania this year for the Raw Women's title. Let me speak on this before I kind of move on to this whole beat the clock thing, because this felt kind of ridiculous and didn't really mean a lot if you asked me. But just to get, which I will say, let me say one thing here. SmackDown loaned a lot of people to Raw tonight, okay? They loaned a lot of stars to Monday Night Raw. So what can I say from this, huh? As in for SmackDown. Well, not SmackDown, but Monday Night Raw. But just, to talk about the main event of WrestleMania. First off, are we really surprised this was going to be the main event of WrestleMania? Now, I will say one thing. I would have liked it better if WWE would have kept it more of a surprise instead of telling it 2 weeks ahead of the show. Because at least, it kept people guessing, who's going to be the main event? Is it going to be the women? Is it going to be Seth and Brock? Is it going to be Kofi and Bryan? But they rather have done it now. I've said my criticisms throughout time with the main event for the, with the women doing it. Listen, I had no problem with it in the begin with. But as time kind of has gone through, and with this triple threat match and how convoluted and a mess and this entire story is, I believe it has turned some people away from it being the main event. I've said this before about WWE. WWE does this thing where they like to make first time evers and a lot. And when this whole women's revolution, whatever you want to call it, we all know WWE was late in the ball game from that. Once they started making a lot of, women's main events, and it was always a first time ever Hell in a Cell, a first time ever TLC, a first time ever Royal Rumble, a first time ever Elimination Chamber, tag titles, which are already tag titles in the past. But I've said this before about it. You can have a first time ever, but you got to make sure it's good, okay? That's my whole thing about it. So there's a difference in saying that. Now, is in regards to Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky, I'm sure the match is gonna be good. I have no doubt about it. But I've said it before, I'm so far gone off this story that I've kind of stopped caring for a minute with these three, because I've just seen so many things, switches from heel turns to injury angles to kayfabe killing to getting more people involved in this angle that don't really need to be part of this angle, or some will go with Charlotte being added, but I knew it'd be a triple threat match to begin with anyway, so I was never surprised by that. They was going to get Charlotte in there one way or another. You know, it just devalues the SmackDown Women's title, because we see Asuka is just literally doing nothing, and she's the champion that literally has no build. No build going into WrestleMania. It's supposed to be some fatal 4-way. You only got, 2 weeks to build off of that? So it's not really good for SmackDown, but you would put a lot of focus into this whole thing right here for a Monday Night Raw, that the other title doesn't mean nothing. But like I said before, I have no problem with that, but just this whole story is just a mess, okay? It's just gone all over the place. It's almost like you saw the same thing. Like, even I said this about SmackDown the other night with Charlotte and Becky fighting each other again. It's like, how many times have we seen this brawl go down and nothing different? Some say they should have held them off before Mania, but I guess you had to get the crowd going with something, okay? And you know, I was actually surprised these two were on Raw tonight, because at first they were just kind of keeping everybody separate. Ronda's on Raw, and Charlotte and Becky are on SmackDown in general. So, but they are on that show. But like I said before, because this, like I said about the story, I just feel like it's just going all over the place. Like, the best story I see, and I know it was never going to main event WrestleMania, but I would have minded if Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan main event WrestleMania. I know I've said this before, but I know it probably won't. I know it was not going to happen anyways. It was either that or it was going to be Seth and Brock, because it's Brock, so no one should be surprised by that. But since WWE wanted to announce it now today, you know, they just wanted to give it out now. That's all they really wanted to do. So I'm not surprised, but for a minute there, I actually kind of was thinking that they would have just given it to Seth anyways and Brock just because. But it was gonna be the way. But WWE decided to pull the trigger now. Now, as in this Beat the Clock challenge, this felt ridiculous to me, because what did any of these three gain from this? Because when you see a Beat the Clock challenge, you're supposed to have time on your side, or it's going to be some like stipulation that's going to work for you in the advantage of a match. This doesn't really work in advantage for anybody whoever wins this, because what do they really gain from this? You never really gain anything, because they have Ronda come out and, you know, she says, that's all I got to say and everything several times. As people chant, we want Becky. She will make Charlotte and Becky tap out at the same time. And then she says, I have no idea what the Beat the Clock challenge is. Must be another gimmick, farce, you know, let's just get over with this whole thing. And that, you know, I'm main eventing the show, the women will headline WrestleMania, it's because of me. Which in some truth it is true. I do believe, and I've said this before, somebody brought this up to me, if Roman was not out sick and everything, would he have main evented Mania again this year? Most likely. And Ronda's got a point, because you already know they're going to want a lot of media attention from this, so get ready. Excuse me. You already want to know they want a lot of media attention, so they're going to be on ESPN tomorrow morning anyways to talk about this. So a lot of media outlets are going to, well, which I already knew that was going to happen anyways, but a lot of media outlets were going to get involved in this whole thing if this was going to be the first ever main event thing for women's main event for WrestleMania. So you know that was gonna happen. But sorry, I'm really trying to think this one out. But yeah, Ronda, I will say, made a point though. But next thing you know, Becky comes out pretty much saying that the world is yawning at you, and that the man is around, and that, you know, she's going to make WrestleMania better. That's why she's in the main event. And that at the end of WrestleMania, it will be her holding the title up with Rousey's skull beneath her foot. Charlotte pretty much says, I am the main event. I've held the division for 7 years. That I was handpicked and groomed to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Which then goes into this Beat the Clock challenge, because, hey, what do? Let's kill the freaking Riot Squad out here to bury them, okay? What was the point of this? I don't know. Ronda gets something like what? Sarah Logan in a minute. Sorry about that. Kill Sarah Logan in about a minute and 25 seconds. So, boom, she's gone. So, armbar, tap out for Ronda. Next thing you know, Charlotte comes in to go against Ruby Riott, but she did hit her in the figure 8, but she did not tap out before time expired. So, Becky's turn to try and beat the clock. Goes against Liv Morgan. Beats Liv Morgan with about 7-8 seconds left to spare, I believe it was, to get her up with a roll-up. So Becky Lynch was the one that did beat the clock challenge. Like I said, I guess it gives them bragging rights, but there was literally no stipulation to this, and there was really no need for a beat the clock challenge. As for the Riot Squad, they get buried again, and I'm sure they will be buried next week when they put them in a 6-woman tag against Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky on the Go Home show. So expect the Riot Squad to look even more worse on here, just to make them look terrible. Why was this needed? I got no idea, but it just happened. It just happened just because it happens. Okay, I don't know sometimes, but this beat the clock challenge did not really need to happen. Next thing you know, Finn Balor was out here. I guess it was gonna be a handicap match between him and Rush, and then Finn Balor. Yes, Finn Balor was yes, if Finn Balor wins, I believe he will get a title shot at WrestleMania, and I guess it was to go against Rush and Bobby Lashley, but Rush pretty much went out to say he was not going to do this. He's not medically cleared. He pretty much talked about the Boston crowd and, you know, Gronk from retiring from the NFL, which I could tell he's maybe in WWE next because he's Mojo Rawley's friend, so don't be surprised when that happens. But since Rush was not going to do it, he gave Bobby Lashley a different partner, a worse partner. So put him with Jinder Mahal. This spells like a recipe for disaster. Why you would pick Jinder, I have no idea, okay? Makes no sense. But Finn Balor was able to win. He dove off the top of everybody. Coup de grace on Jinder Mahal. Wins, gets his title shot at WrestleMania against Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental Championship. Lashley started beating up the Singh brothers then and speared Jinder. So hopefully the Demon will be at WrestleMania. Okay, well, he has to be at WrestleMania. It needs to happen at WrestleMania. I've said this before. I don't know what that was last year at WrestleMania, what Finn had out there in the beginning of the show, but he must bring the Demon into WrestleMania, okay? It's got to happen, all right? That's one of those things that need to happen. We need to see the Demon. But other than him getting a title shot, next thing you know, Elias. He is the musical guest for WrestleMania. So he was hanging out in New York City in Times Square with guitar, and someone else was playing that was way better than him, but he said he's a solo artist, and listen, you need to go sell out the Subway or something, because I'm here to focus on WrestleMania. That yes, he was going to perform at WrestleMania. He's the musical guest. We're going to see him a lot more for New York City through the entire night. So I still don't know why they got Elias doing this, but they got to give him something. Aleister Black came out with Ricochet, which, let me say one thing about their entrance real quick. And I've noticed something different into this. When you hear, Black, when he comes up during his entrance, like from the grave or something like that, it's like you hear a creaking sound for some reason. I don't remember a creaking sound happening. Even when Ricochet came out, like when they went closer into him, he had like a thunder effect or something. Like, why do they need effects in their entrances? Almost like a sound effect that was added into the music. I know there was something very different about that, okay? So I don't know why they put that there. That was kind of strange to me. They go against the Revival, which what happens again? Who do you think's gonna win this match? We've seen these two teams face each other about a number of times now, but what happens? Double black mass, the 630 on Dash Wilder there for the win, which tells me they will get a title shot at WrestleMania. Then again, these guys are on TakeOver. Last time I remember, to go against was it the Forgotten Sons, or was it War Machine for the NXT tag titles, since they're still in their Dusty Classic. But Dude, the tag team champions lose again. Who is not surprised? The Revival don't win anyways. Yes, you put the belts on them, but you have your champions still look bad and lose here. Clean, might I ask, too. So, the Revival, listen, if there's a match between them and WrestleMania, this whole feud is very one-sided. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did get a title shot, but you might as well just give them the belts at this point. How many times have they beaten the Revival? Didn't they debut, or like a week or two ago, they beat the Revival in like, what, 2 minutes? And they were the tag team champions? This was actually somewhat of a competitive match, but who do you think was going to win this, huh? Black and Ricochet, okay? They pretty much beaten mostly everybody around here, so I'm not surprised that they won. But like I said, this still makes the tag team championships look very bad, so there you go from that. Next thing you know, Drew McIntyre came out, and he doesn't care if he's liked or respected or anything. Well, he will be respected, but he talked about what he did to Roman Reigns about 2 weeks ago, and about what he said last week, and that if Roman was going to accept this challenge, challenge and everything, but he wanted to talk to Joe, the man, Joe, and he told him to think about his family. Like, haven't they been through enough? Think about your kids, huh? They've already had to watch their dad fight for his life already. We're really pulling this leukemia thing into storyline for some reason. And, like, do you want to put your kids through that one more time in WrestleMania when you're going to lose? People start chanting Roman in. But Drew said could stand out here all night until Roman gives him an answer. Roman's music hits. He comes out. And he looks at McIntyre and says, "Don't you ever talk about my wife and my kids again." And he pretty much looked at him. He punched him in the mouth. They start brawling right after that. Then Roman pretty much starts getting the upper hand over Drew, but Drew pretty much low blows Roman right in the ring, and he hit him with a Claymore kick after that. So right now, he's still getting the upper hand over Roman right now, which, listen, we all know who's going to win this at WrestleMania, okay? Like, they're not going to let Roman lose, and, you know, they're just having Drew come out, berate the guy every week, using the leukemia thing in a way. I don't know why we need to put this in a storyline, but there you go. But this is all just setting up for Roman to win at WrestleMania, okay? I don't think this guy's going to lose on this match back in Mania. I know people want Drew to win, some people, but dude, like, I know where this is going, okay? Like, come on, it's Mania. They're going to let Roman go over, so I'd be surprised if Drew actually won the match, though, at Mania. But right now, and how Drew's kicking the crap out of him, I can probably tell you who's going to win this match at WrestleMania. He pretty much was walking in the back then, and then Dean Ambrose, he said, you called me a cockroach, okay? So how about this last man standing match if he accepts the challenge? And pretty much, Ambrose won't be standing after the night after, he accepted the challenge then. Next thing you know, Sasha Banks, hometown, Boston, from here. Wish thought she'd get a bigger pop when against Natalya. Beth Phoenix is out there with her. Not a bad match, I will say that. The crowd did get into it, mostly pro Sasha crowd. Excuse me, well, against Natalya. She did have the bank statement, but Natalya turned into a sharpshooter, and Sasha got out. But next thing you know, Tamina and Nia Jax pretty much come out of nowhere and attack everybody, but Beth Phoenix got the upper hand. Beth Phoenix in a great glam slam on Tamina. Like I said, Beth Phoenix is just jacked to the freaking gills, okay? She's still getting, the fans still chanting, "You still got it." I don't think she ever lost it. She's just been gone for a minute, but Beth Phoenix can still go, okay? She can. And as the fans chanting, "You still got it," she pretty much stepped on top of the title then. I guess saying her and Natalya are coming for those tag championships at, WrestleMania and everything. But like I said, it was a good segment, I will say that. Beth got a big reaction out there than the past couple of other weeks, so that's good. And then pretty much right after, it just kind of it doesn't have to go with the match, but you'll see the reaction after that. They also announced that the Hart Foundation would be going into the Hall of Fame, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. Now, I got a lot to say about this, about them going in the Hall of Fame. First off, we got a lot of two-time Hall of Famers going in the Hall of Fame this year. Shawn, Booker, and now Bret. Now, I will say this before, and I think I said this a few months ago also. The reason why, and I knew this was coming, okay? The reason why they put Jim in, I will say that the Hart Foundation, because um, Jim Neidhart had died, and I wouldn't, and like I said, you should have put these guys when they're alive and everything. And I've said this before about many people in the Hall of Fame. I feel like they wait till these guys are dead and then they put them in the Hall of Fame literally right after they die, okay? Or they just wait for the wrong time to do it, because there are guys in the Hall of Fame that I'm surprised they're not still in there and that have died, but it's almost like some of these things that they just wait for them to die and then they will put them in the Hall of Fame, okay? And I really believe that's the case with Jim Neidhart, because I knew there was already rumored about them being in the Hall of Fame this year anyways, Brett and Jim. But that was probably going to be the reason why. It's like you should have did it while he was alive. Now, I know there's a lot of other things that, why did they not put the entire faction of the Hart Foundation in? Why are you going just by the first incarnation with him and Jim Neidhart? And Jimmy Hart, too, but he was not really talked about in this whole video package. But people want to know why, Davey Boy Smith is not in, the British Bulldog, or Brian Pillman. Owen Hart, I already know why. His wife's not going to let him go in the Hall of Fame, okay? She still does not forgive this company after his death many years ago, so we know that. Come on, I remember Mark Henry out there begging Owen's ex-wife, not his ex-wife, but Owen's wife, to let him in the Hall of Fame. She's not gonna budge, okay? She's really not gonna budge letting Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame. So I understand that, okay? So I already know why Owen would not be going in, why they did not put the entire faction. Bulldog, I'm not really sure. I probably need to go look up something about that. Same thing to do with Brian Pillman. So I don't understand why they did not put those two in the Hall of Fame also. But maybe they want to put the whole faction in, but Owen cannot go in. Just like I said before, his wife's not. She's not good. Come on, she still blames his company for, like I said, for his death. Though some people blame Vince Russo for it too, because it wasn't he the one that put him in that blue blazer gimmick to begin with. So that's mostly the reason why, though. So I know people wanted the entire Hart Foundation faction to go in, not just the first part, the tag team when it first started between Brett and Jim. So I already knew this was going to come in sooner or later, so that's good. They deserve it. I'm glad they put Jim in the Hall of Fame. Brett becomes a 2-time Hall of Famer. And, they showed right after Natalya was crying to be happy that her dad is in the Hall of Fame and pointing at the sky. But like I said before, they like the Hart Foundation, they deserve it. I have nothing against that. I still do believe that they should have put Jim Neidhart in there with Brett when he was alive. Like I said, for the others, we already know why Owen can't go in. Bulldog and Pillman, I'm not really sure. Even Jimmy Hart, because like I say, he was in the first part. He was managing the Hart Foundation back then anyways, but I don't know if they were going to put him in 2 times anyway himself also, so I didn't know how that was going to go in that, but I don't know how that was not going to go in that, but we'll see. But right now, I think it's just Brett and Jim going into the Hall of Fame, but well deserved. But like I said, it's a lot of controversy and things to talk from that when it regards to Jim Neidhart and the rest of the members of the Hart Foundation. So I know people want just to see the entire faction go in, so that's why. Kurt Angle, it's on Charlie Caruso, as I should say, it is TNA week for him. As he was going to go against his old rivals. Like I said, SmackDown was loaning a lot of people tonight to Monday Night Raw, as Samoa Joe was going to be there. As he talked about his match tonight, Corbin pretty much came up and interrupted him, so he should have retired 10 years ago, and that Corbin's going to win. Kurt Angle walked up to him and said, "Screw you," and left. We didn't get to probably one of the worst segments of the night, which I felt was a waste of time, was this moment of Bliss crap. And before we can get into that, Sasha and Bayley did, talk about all their opponents they've been losing to recently and going against. What she said, Sasha said, we're going to take them all WrestleMania. Tamina, Jax, the Iconics, Natalya, and Phoenix. Fatal 4-way tag team title match. Watch it go down. Multi-woman tag match. So I knew that was coming. But Bliss came out to talk about, is she good or what for having women main event WrestleMania, and then talked about Strowman's issues with Michael Che and Colin Jost out and breaking the car. Strowman came out then and talked about you have a bad temper. You pushed people off of ambulances, Roman Reigns, and flipped cars, flipped Vince's limo and everything, and now he cannot control his temper because Strowman saying, "Are we, am I good or what?" But next thing you know, they had the two Saturday Night Live guys show up from New York City on a Saturday Night Live set. And, Josh said, he was wrong to put a Mets hat on, so he put a Yankees hat on to draw heat from the crowd in Boston. And that, as he's been, Shea's been a lifelong WWE fan. He respects the hell out of Strowman and everything. But, Josh, he's a good guy. He just doesn't know any better. And he's been sincere when he had his Twitter and everything and talked about Strowman. And he says, you know what, I could teach you how to read or do your taxes and everything, and we can handle things like adults. You're like, what, a 5'11" wrestler, and, why don't you just destroy cars, and why don't you get my autograph from Brock? He's just antagonize him. But Strowman says you want to make things right, physically, mentally, financially, especially the physical part. And he says Josh needs to end himself in the Andre Memorial Battle Royale. Shea said, yeah, he'll do it. Okay, I guess I'll be hosting by myself. But Josh, no, you got to be in it too. Since Strowman told Bliss to make matches, which for some reason Bliss can now book matches for WrestleMania and says you got it. All right, so they're gonna be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, which the fans I guess reacted because they chanted "Yankees suck" several times at several times at Josh and everything. First off, this segment felt like it took on forever. Okay, this was almost like 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, this took a while for some reason. Why is this even a match? Listen, I know it's the Andre Battle Royale thing to get everybody on the crowd, but why is Braun Strowman in a feud with two Saturday Night Live guys for? Is this like I've said it before? Strowman is comedy Big Show at this point. He's a joke, okay? He's a freaking joke. He's going against Saturday Night Live guys at WrestleMania. I've said it before, this guy is just not going to see the World Championship in I don't know how long, or probably ever for all I know. But they've really ruined this whole Braun Strowman thing, that he has just now been reduced to fighting these Saturday Night Live guys at WrestleMania, which will most likely be the pre-show. In the Andre the Giant, the Battle Royale thing, which I thought Strowman would be past that stage at this point, like I said last week. But nope. We got to have him fight these guys and make a feud out of it. This was a waste of time, okay? This was probably the worst thing, one of the worst things on this show. Elias, they went back to Elias, who was standing outside of Madison Square Garden and everything, the same Madison Square Garden where Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling will be there Saturday night, April the 6th and everything for the G1 Supercard, since WWE was already got pissed about them getting the Garden anyways. But they will be live there at the Garden Saturday night. I look forward to that show, and I recommend everybody checking out the card for that show because it looks stacked, and it's damn near probably better to have the card for Mania right now as we speak, okay? Because I'm looking more forward to that show and NXT TakeOver New York, or I like to call it Brooklyn 5 in my opinion, more than the Mania card right now. But yeah, Elias standing right in front of where Ring of Honor and New Japan sold out. That's going to be there soon, so everybody check that out, because he was just pretty much standing there and somebody threw a cup in his water, I guess, trying to pay him for paying the guitar. Next, Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews. I don't care. In the days, whatever, this match was mid-thing. Crowd didn't seem to care. Who gives a shit about any of this, okay? Moving on. So, 50-50 booking. There you go, 50-50 booking. Seth Rollins came out and he cut this promo about Brock Lesnar. And, we're not cut from the same cloth. And that, our road to WrestleMania is different. And, he says the future of the business, and he talked about people that have inspired him when he was watching WWE. He talked about people like Shawn Michaels, Brett Flair, Triple H, and even John Cena inspires people, and Lesnar doesn't inspire anything, and that, this is going to be the biggest match of his career, Seth said, and he was doing an autograph signing and everything, and I guess some fan told him to please beat Lesnar at WrestleMania. He was saying we're all going to go into Suplex City and burn it down. Paul Heyman came out and, said his whole intro. It's just a handicap match. I see you in the WWE Universe versus Brock Lesnar, and that the odds are against you. Your chances of winning is 0. Okay, you're pathetic at everything, like these people in Boston. Heyman pretty much went on, and you pretty much taught the fans about the thoughts and prayers that the fans were we're gonna help him beat him and everything, but you're not gonna beat the Conqueror, and that Seth is gonna get massacred out there. He has no chance of beating Lesnar, and that you're going to lose at WrestleMania. And he threw the mic in the air. Rollins chased after him. Heyman pretty much said, I'm an advocate. Oh, God, please don't. Rollins pretty much laughed at him and says, you talked about thoughts and prayers. No, I'm answering the prayers for these people and everything, and that we are going to go into WrestleMania. And he held up the mic, and his people said, burn it down. Okay, they were all gonna burn it down at Mania, and as Heyman still sat on the stage. It was a very good promo though by Seth too. Well, at least they're adding a little bit more. I know this feud has been lackluster between him, Brock and Seth, with the time given, since I said before they focused so much time on the Shield. But it was a good promo, I will say that. Heyman was still sitting on the stage. Kurt Angle came out as the fans chanted, "You suck." He pointed at Heyman so they could chant, "You suck" at him. But next Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. I would say it's going to be TNA week for Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle going against two of his biggest TNA opponents, both Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. I guess Joe was loaned to Raw tonight, as Joe came out saying, I'm not going to come out with a bouquet. I'm not sentimental and everything. Listen, if this is going to be your final match, I'm going to put you to sleep one more time. And one thing I will say, as soon as this match began, Samoa Joe headbutting Kurt Angle and everything. If you remember when Kurt Angle debuted back in 2006 in TNA, that's how it all started. Kurt Angle getting in the ring and headbutting Samoa Joe. And I remember that crowd going crazy. Listen, there's been a lot of great matches with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. So like I said, it's TNA week, if you ask me, for Kurt Angle right now. And you can go look up a lot of great matches. You can go back from Genesis 2006 or Turning Point or Lockdown 2008. Both of these guys have faced each other for years and have put on fantastic matches. Same way I can go with AJ Styles, which I'll probably say more tomorrow, because there's been a lot of great matches with him too. Did I think this match was good? Yeah, I thought it was good. Most of it was Samoa Joe dominating until Kurt Angle came near in the end to pretty much reverse the coquina clutch to get a 3 count on him. I know people say, and I've said this before about Kurt Angle and everything, okay? Because it's about what? And I think it's been this month too. Kurt Angle left TNA like 2016, 17, if I'm not mistaken. And I've questioned the booking of Kurt Angle ever since he came back into WWE in general. I have before, a lot of it. I know some people are gonna go with his age and everything, which I could say that too. I still think, like somebody told me, it's the WWE style of wrestling. Because if this was fucking Impact or some other show or anything, or even some indie show, it'd be a very different style of wrestling. But they gotta adapt to that WWE style of wrestling. I still think both of these two put on a good match. It was good to see these two face each other again. I know WWE's not gonna mention their history, so they got a long, extensive history. They got a rich history. We're not gonna tell them what they did in TNA for almost damn near 10 years over there. I think Kurt was in there for a long time, but we're not gonna talk about all the matches they put on in TNA. They're just gonna say rich history or something like that. So that's gonna be the thing. But Kurt went in here beating Samoa Joe again. Like I said, not a bad match, but I will say things Samoa Joe. So Samoa Joe has lost again. U.S. champion for 3 weeks. Still hasn't won really a singles match, if you ask me. I know he won that Fatal 4-Way back at Fastlane and stuff, but gets pinned by Ray, gets pinned by Kofi. Now he gets pinned by Kurt Angle. He's the U.S. champion, but he's losing to almost everybody clean. Okay. So I don't understand that sometimes they throw Joe out there for that, but I'm sure Joe wanted to Joe put him over. Like I've said this before about this whole retirement angle. I thought TNA did a way better job with his retirement angle, how Kurt Angle left the company, how he put some guys over. I've already restated that several times in the past. and everything, and he put on way better matches there. But this is here to try to make the most of it. But even I'm sure people saying, why couldn't you have put Kurt Angle or AJ Styles in Kurt Angle's quote unquote farewell match at WrestleMania? So there you go. Like I said, there you go. But a good match in general. One thing I will say, and I know they were saying this throughout the night, when they were talking about the main event for the women, and they were showing some of the tweets. Somebody had pointed this out, and I guess people go on the internet about this. I just want to say, so what, the Bella twins retired or something on their TV show, which could be fake because it's a fake reality TV show anyway. So this is probably, even somebody said this on the internet, they just want to say this now, given the whole main event buzz or something. They just want to get something because it's in the news headlines right now, and then sooner or later they said Nikki Bella will come back and wrestle. But in all honesty, I just gotta say this: what the fuck did the Bella twins ever do in WWE? And do you really give a shit if they retired? In all honesty, does anyone give a fuck about any of these two retired? They both suck. They set the women's division back. I can't really say anything good about them. What great match did they really ever have? Like, did they really improve in the ring? I'm sure some people would say Nikki Bella, because Brie damn near killed everybody when she came back. And she, some became a better wrestler. But dude, just fuck both of them. Who gives a shit? This, like, come on, no one wanted to see him back there in that whole Evolution thing. Nobody does not want to see the Bellas right now. They're just trying to gain some attention. Somebody calling them the Kardashians of the WWE. But like I said, does anybody give a shit about these two? Not fucking really. Not really. I just wanted to address that just because I kept hearing it all day. So yeah, fuck them. If one of them come back, they just want to get some buzz right now. That's all they want to do. Triple H came out then to talk about the crowd, how he was, he was kind of, caught back by the crowd as they gave him a standing ovation during the commercial. And he talked about the women being the main event, congratulating them and stuff, that you all did what you did. But then he kind of started going Batista, saying, I'm glad they gave me a dry microphone this week, and that the one Batista spit in 2 weeks ago. And he had this envelope for a podcast. He's gonna do the job for the envelope. He's doing the job for the envelope. And I actually liked this promo because I thought it was funny, and Triple H damn near was getting that Batista here. Talked about Batista's lawyer who sent him about this stipulation, and how Batista, talk about Batista, talk about Evolution happened, and that, Evolution was made so Triple H could keep the world title around his waist, and that Evolution did nothing, or, it didn't help his career, even though before he walked into Evolution, he was, following around Devon with a collection plate as the Deacon, if you all remember. That was Batista's gimmick on SmackDown many years ago. He followed Devon around, and they called him the Deacon before they ever put him with Triple H in Evolution, okay? And then, 6 world titles later and everything, Batista quits because he can't beat John Cena. He comes back a few years later, doesn't get the phone calls, and we got to move the date to WrestleMania because his movie schedule with the Guardians of the Galaxy and everything. So that's kind of what happened with his excuse me, got with his deal with WWE a few years ago, because they never really did support him with his Guardians of the Galaxy thing. And then, he read the later, and he says, give me what I want, what I really, really, really want. Give me what I want. He pretty much did the Spice Girls song, which was funny because I'm sure there was several memes and on Botchamania that did that whole clip, which is hilarious. So give it to me. Give me what I want. Give me what I want. What I really, really want. What I really, really want. So we all knew that joke was going to come in. And Triple H talked about the whole career on the line thing. Listen, you beat up a 70-year-old man that was on his deathbed last year, and then you want to put him right back, okay? And he said that, I'm not going to let you quit this time. You're going to believe in you're going to do your obligations and everything. And that Batista thinks, saying I'm upset with him. I never was obsessed with you, but I'm obsessed about kicking your ass. And that if I can't beat a self-deluded douchebag, which you don't really hear any type of lines like that from anybody nowadays, but hey, it's Triple H. He damn near runs the company half the time, COO. And that then he has no business being in the ring anyways if he can't beat Batista. And he says he would put his career on the line. A lot of shooting stuff, I would say, Triple H did, and it was downright funny. And I did laugh at the Deacon part and the "give me what I want" line, which was pretty hilarious, and the Cena thing. So it was actually some truth to that promo, I will say that, with Triple H for this whole no holds barred. I still think this feud doesn't make a lot of sense, given that Batista has beaten Triple H several times in the past, especially for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I feel like they got this in reverse, and Triple H is the face and Batista is a heel, and you have to give him what he wants. Why these two guys' career on the line, I don't know, but I would have understood these two have never faced each other before, or Batista's never faced, never beaten Triple H, but this is the other way around. Batista has beaten Triple H before. Batista beat him at WrestleMania 21 in the main event for the World's Heavyweight Championship. I believe a Backlash, and there was another one too. I think it was in 2008, or was it 6? I'm not sure what the last one was, but I know it was like 3 separate times he has beaten Triple H. So a lot of this feud doesn't make sense, but him reading from the letter, Dave there, which I just thought it was pretty funny. So there you go from that. Elias was still singing on a street corner until some guy stole some money and then eventually stole the guitar case from him. Dean Ambrose was here for the main event then to go against Drew McIntyre. They also announced Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio next week. So that's we're gonna be borrowing SmackDown again, like I said, with the 6-woman tag. So there you go. But next thing you know, like I said, main event, McIntyre and Dean Ambrose, last man standing. I think I like the Falls Count Anywhere match because they kind of went batshit crazy on each other out there. But the only thing I could say from this match was the kendo stick shots and Drew McIntyre putting Ambrose through the table and him with a Claymore kick, beating Dean Ambrose again, which I'm sure we all kind of saw this coming in general. But I think I like their last match better. So, like I said, this one was good, but the Falls Count Anywhere match was a way better match, if you ask me, in my opinion. But, that was kind of the end of Raw from that. I've said this before about WrestleMania anyways. They haven't really done a good job building up into WrestleMania, if you ask me. So it's just it's a lot to really take from it, okay? I've said this at the beginning of the video that you're just kind of starting to throw matches here and there together from out of nowhere just to see if this shit gets over or anything, and it hasn't been the best build. Even the stuff they have built has just turned into a colossal mess. I've already said about the triple threat with the women. The story's all over the place. It's just convoluted as fuck at this point. Like I said before, we knew it was going to be the main event. I'm not really surprised, but at the same time, I in a way, I'm kind of starting to stop caring a little in a way of this match too in general. Like I said before, I build people that are more interested in the damn Kofi storyline with Bryan, and they find that a little bit more interesting right now, okay? But, there's wasted times on this show, like, Elias singing around New York City and in the garden where Ring of Honor and New Japan are taking place. That Moment of Bliss segment to set up put the Saturday Night Live guys in the Saturday Night Live guys and the Andre Battle Royale to put him against Strowman out there. Why did we need that? I got no idea. I don't think anybody really wants to see that, okay? But they really trying to get this thing over. Triple H's promo was pretty good. I thought it was pretty funny, if you ask me. The Seth promo was also good also. But like I said, Kurt Angle, and I did like Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe just because it was a TNA rematch, and it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. Trying to remember anything else from this show. Where else do we go? The Beat the Clock challenge was a waste. We killed the Riot Squad. They will get killed again next week in the 6-woman tag, so expect that for the go-home show. They were murdered tonight and will be murdered again next week. The Revival continue to still look like job guys with titles. I will say that, losing to Black and Ricochet again, so there you go. Hart Foundation and going to Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think I've mostly spoke on everything I need to speak to. Like I said, it's been a lot of wrestling news going on throughout the day, mostly going into Monday Night Raw, like the main event and Hall of Fame, and still bullshit on Monday Night Raw in general, and other shows that have happened over the weekend and stuff when Mania weekend happens. So I believe they only have one more Raw left for the go home show. I don't need to discuss my whole booking thing several times because they just done a bad job going into this show in general. But then again, this show is supposed to be like 8 hours on, and I think I saw the commercial for it, the pre-show. I think it starts about 2 o'clock at my time, so I think I was actually right about that. This show is gonna be fucking hours long. I'm gonna need a lot of coffee throughout that day, since I believe it starts at 2 o'clock. I may need to confirm that, but we'll see. But like I said, make sure you check out my SmackDown review also. I shouldn't say up yet, but we're gonna be back tomorrow anyways when we have Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles, another TNA rematch. So there you go. We'll see how that goes on tomorrow night. But Monday Night Raw, just I don't know, man. Until we got to like the third hour, that's when it kind of got a little bit more interesting. But it's like you gotta just pass through bullshit to get to something interesting. Like what? Did anybody want to see Bobby Lashley and what's his name there, Jinder Mahal go against Finn Balor so we can get a shot at WrestleMania? Bring the goddamn demon out of Mania. Okay, it better happen. What else? The Drew thing was, with Rome, was pretty good. It was kind of whatever, so get ready for that. But that's all I can really say throughout most of the show that I've spoke on for Monday Night Raw tonight. We will see what happens next week, and I guess any go-home show for Mania. But, did the show kind of drag on a couple times? Yeah, it had its drag-on parts. It did. I'm not going to say it did, but it has good and somewhat shitty parts on here, too. But we will see what happens next week on this show, okay? But I'm going to roll from here. I am out of here. Comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought about Monday Night Raw tonight. Follow me on Twitter at HoodedKnight890. Check out the show. Comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about the show. I'm out of here. Peace out. And we'll see you guys here tomorrow night. Out of here. I'm out. And I think I said this yesterday, too. Got a chance to check out C2E2 this weekend. All right, got to be on go to Wrestling Suit panel. I was only there for a few hours, but I think I walked past by the Elite in the hotel right next to the building it was being held at. Saw a lot of cool costumes. Pretty good shit. I will say very eventful weekend. Was a lot going on. So it was actually nice to see a little bit of C2E2 thing. I know it's a lot of movie, comic stuff, people dressed superheroes, anime characters, whatever you want, cartoon, whatever, okay? They dressed everything. I was just there for a wrestling event, but I had a fun time, though. We'll say that. I had a bit of a fun time for the few hours I was there. Like I said, fucking Elite walked past me, but I'm out of here. I will see you guys later, and peace out. Saw the cool Deadpool costume also. Peace.